going through the gear here, getting some things together for the next trip to Cedar Camp, coming up pretty soon. It's early January right now, and I just got this down throw quilt here, and I'm going to try this out for the first time out at Cedar and see how it does. So this is what it looks like in the stuff sack. Probably ought to get a compression bag for it at some point. I can make it a little bit smaller in the pack, but it does collapse down pretty darn small. I mean, you can see that in relation to the nesting cup and the Stanley right there, right? It gets really small. It's not really that big right now anyway. I could probably even just stick it down to the bottom of the pack and pack shit on top of it and work pretty well. But I'm going to take it out and show you because it's awesome. It lofts up more than you would think, and it's maybe a little bit larger than you may think too if you've never played with this thing before. Okay, check it out. Here's this quilt out of the bag and on top of a queen size bed. You can see this thing almost takes up the entire bed. In fact, really, unless I stand up on something tall, I can't even get the whole thing in frame. So it's quite large, and it stuffs down to a very nice little package. So this thing, I don't suppose there's a need for a full review. There's tons of people on YouTube with things, but I haven't seen too many of them that really give you a good look at it. So one side has more of a dull matte type finish, and the other side's a little more of this shiny finish on the nylon. It's a blend of poly and nylon. Ladies and gentlemen, this is not ripstop nylon, so be careful with it. You can tell it's very thin. I feel the down is a little bit inconsistent around some of the edges, around some of the squares on the edges. Like this guy doesn't feel like it has a whole heck of a lot in it, whereas the one next to it is not so bad, and this one feels like there's almost twice as much. So it's not, I don't know, the quality control I don't think is the highest it could possibly be. I haven't measured it, but it says the finish size here is 60 by 70, and you saw it. I mean, it takes up almost an entire queen bed. It's pretty sweet. You can kind of stuff it inside of your sleeping bag with you, whether you have a down bag or not, or even, you know, in warmer weather, maybe just with a liner in this inside of a hammock would be pretty sweet as well. But you know, these things are $20 to $30 depending on the season. And they're fantastic. This is the double black diamond, they call it. So whoever invented this obviously likes to ski or likes wintertime sports at any rate. But really, I can't wait to get this thing out and check it out. I'm excited about it. I sleep super cold, so I'm going to take out, I'm not sure what bag I'm going to take because it's bound to be pretty darn wet, but regardless of what temperature rating bag I take out, I only hit my lowest ones only go down to 20, and so I'm gonna stuff this inside there and have, you know, all of that inside of my bivvy. I think I'll be nice and toasty, or at least this will help me out a little bit, because I never get a warm night's sleep, even sometimes in the summertime. You know, when we're up in the mountains and it's only down in the low 50s or high 40s, I still freeze my ass off, so I have to bundle up at night. Anyway, though, this is a quick look at this guy, and I don't know, we're going to try it out at the old Cedar Camp in the freaking rain here in January. All right, heading into Cedar Camp this time. It's been quite a while. Haven't been here for, oh, I don't know, about 9 months or so. Can tell people have been in this area though, trying to steal this old cedar. Fresh saw marks on a bunch of stuff laying around. They've been tearing into these big old cedar stumps, ones we harvest off of for getting the fire started. There's always some illegal shitbag out here either dumping their garbage or stealing wood all the time. Like, you just can't leave anything out here. Certainly can't count on anything staying natural. Man, there's been some big storms, lots of wind, and the soil out here doesn't hold trees super well. It's okay if they're some of these balsam firs and these hemlocks, but a lot of these alders come right down, and all the maple vines down all over the place. So much devastation since last time I was here. Camp's still here though, untouched. Even though the cedar thief shitbags been out here, they haven't touched the stumps around camp, haven't messed with camp at all. Everything's still here. The old wood. This wall's gonna get moved this time over to these two trees. All right, now let's get started.
We're on.
This stuff's a little bit damp. I'm just gonna kind of shave it, and we'll put it on after the fat wood. I think it'll dry pretty quick. This cedar is good shit, even if it's a little bit wet. And you could tell there's the wet and there's the dry. You get down into it pretty good. And those are, see how fine those hairs are on there? It's like very thin stuff. So that's good. So we got some of that fat wood that I sparked up at home. Making a little pile here out of it. And I'm gonna try to get it going with the ferro rod. So what I figured is I'd be able to stick the rod in there and drive sparks straight into my pile. But it didn't work. I had to throw a larger, wider array of sparks onto it, I guess, just to catch more surface area. Whatever the problem was, that seemed to be the ticket. So I'm gonna try it with just a little bit farther away. We'll try to spark this up and get this fire lay going. We have some semi-dry split stuff here. Semi-dry cedar on top. And I'm just making a little bed up here for the fat wood. And then we have, I'll put some more of that stuff on top of the fat wood, and then probably just the rest of this stick. I think we're going to be able to split up some of these little cedars over here with a knife and just break them down into tinier kindling and let it rip. So we'll be back in a sec. There we go. Yeah, nice. Yeah. Takes a little bit. I'm sure my technique leaves a lot to be desired, but you know what?
That took right up, dude.
Whatever. I'm not that great.
That is nice.
Okay, so hopefully, so I've got that baby going, and I have some tiny shaved cedar. I'm just gonna pile in there real gently. Well, you can hear the resins in that fat wood. Mm-hmm. Dude, it came from a hardware store, for Christ's sake. You know? I mean, for being what it is, I don't think it's too bad.
And the cedar out here being shaved, and we figured it would be difficult because
not bad. I think I may have just almost smothered it.
The recent wet weather that we've had.
A little more air here.
It's burning pretty goddamn good for what we thought it would be.
Yeah, I mean, fire is always a super huge challenge out here.
Yeah, so knock on a bunch of wood here. We're lucky to have no rain right now. So
come on, baby. All right, well, we'll blow and baby on this son of a bitch for about 15 minutes and bring you back. All right, well, the fire's finally going, and it took a good hour and a half probably to get this baby to where it was hot enough, and actually we're putting on some moderate-sized fuel right now. A little bit bigger than kindling. Certainly not the real big split stuff we wanted, but at first we had to shave tons of little curls all over this thing. It probably took just 30 minutes of doing that until we could get some other stuff ignited and hot enough and dry enough to burn. Still have a little bit of a drying operation going on the top here, just to feed more stuff in. And then we're hacking on some cedar that we have harvested here a little bit. You can kind of see it. There's some dry, some wet, and we're just kind of curling up like breaking the dry stuff into kindling, and then the wetter stuff drying up on top. And I don't know, it's okay, but Jesus Christ, this is probably the hardest fire I've ever had to start out here. And it was something else.
Oh yeah, oh yeah.
Really check out the color, and I can see the head inside though, and it's a real nice chocolatey brown.
Oh yeah, you could tell.
Yeah, this is a it's kind of fun though, just hanging out in the woods doing nothing.
Right.
Drinking out of the bottle here. Probably not how they intended people to enjoy their stout, but
well, you know, what? It is in an aluminum
beer in the woods. We are in the woods drinking beer. But agreed. Totally recommended.
Yep. Awesome.
Yep.
So cool, man. Well,
out here, the only thing dry enough is cedar. We get them from these big old stumps, and you can just take a few slabs off.
Yep.
And it's kind of a mix between punky, rotten stuff and solid. So you can see we're working on a little piece of solid right here. And that slab, there's tons of them in here. We only need a few. And we'll be able to cut those down to size, and they burn for a long time. This is stuff we wouldn't burn in a couple other videos, but I mean, there's a bunch of cedar stumps out here. Usually you see people come out here with their chainsaws and they steal all this wood, but I can see why. It's great stuff. All right, next morning, getting a little work done. So here's where the new wall is going to be. Dismantled this wall between those two trees right there, and then this is about how this pole is going to go up here, and it's going to cover the wood and be a windbreak, because the windbreak comes from this direction. So I just have a nice Y stick right here. Then I'm gonna lash this to the tree, just a single, you know, couple of wraps right around. It's gonna be nice and sturdy. That was what was holding up the other wall with no cordage. And then this guy here that's resting on this branch is just gonna get square lashed to this tree. And I'm going to reuse a bunch of these old poles here, and then as you can see, there's no shortage of fallen stuff all around to build this wall. And here's what it's going to look like from kind of the other side here.
You gotta talk. Oh. Got a nice fire going on this morning. Didn't take as much difficulties as it did last night. We covered the fireplace up last night when we went to bed and everything, so kind of kept all the moisture out. So it helped out a little bit with starting it up. We made all sorts of little kindling out of here. Shaved these down into just little shavings. Made a pile in there. Built a little little wall there. Had a layer of paper, layer of the big stuff, and then kind of made a wall out of these things. And took a little bit to get going, but we just kept shaving away on some of these kindling sticks here. And,
yeah, we only used about a half a stick of fat wood, and then
right.
a whole bunch of curls and feathered sticks of the cedar.
Yeah.
And some of the charred material that was left over from last night that was dry and partially charred, that was in the coal bed. Of course it was all dead, there was nothing really to rekindle, but no embers or anything. But that helped take right up. In fact, here's a piece right here going in there, going strong. Man, I tell you what, I'm grateful for this cedar.
Yeah.
Stuff burns hot and it burns long. Even the small pieces burn long. It's great. It's not like that alder over there. That stuff goes up pretty well. But I'll tell you what, man, this stuff burns really fast. You go through a ton of it. So it's nice though when you can get the small rounds like this and just split them up and burn them. There's, I mean,
it's everywhere.
For years out here.
Fuck, we got a
burn it.
big old bunch of it right here, unprocessed.
Yeah.
So.
But that cedar, man, is really, that was a game changer.
Yeah.
Sure. I think without the cedar last night, we would have been pretty much screwed.
Yeah. That would not have been good.
No, we wouldn't have been able to. The alder's just too wet. There's no way we would have been able to process that down.
Yeah.
And get it fine enough. There's just, I don't think we would have been, man, it was, I mean, it's only 40 right now.
Right.
And it's 11 o'clock. So.
Yeah, there's predictions of rain. That hasn't quite happened yet. We get spotty, clear skies. The sun actually poked through right at my face here a second ago. It's just a lot of overcast, cold wind.
Yeah, you can tell it's changing off and on because the wind's still pretty persistent.
Be nice if it didn't rain, but you know, I'm expecting it. So
we did decide to put the second wall back in.
Yeah, we
over here
built this lean-to for the firewood, and it's also a great wind screen. So we're in the process of starting the second one right now. This is originally where we had it. We decided to move it up. We just should have just built a different one, but
yeah, well, we discovered that the wind whips through this back portion even more than it does through the front, so we're going to build a little bit of a screen on the second layer here as well, and then we'll just
got it started.
Yeah, if there's ever hammocks in here, we'll just have to go across the trees instead of down long ways like this.
Right, so started camoing this thing and making more of a thicker screen of it. Found an old down tree with all this brush stuff on it. It's awesome. Stick it in there and it'll help with the wind. Yeah, we're gonna build onto it, you know, throw some debris on there. There's a lot of ferns out here, so as you can see, we go get some of those and start layering that up, kind of, you know, as a tile, if you want to say that. So that'll be good. But for now, we're going to continue building the second wall here and see you shortly.
Well, there's all the framework of the wall. It used to be across these two right here. So now we're going to fill this in with some real gnarly balsam fir branches off of a down tree. Inside looks pretty cool, huh? And that wood, as soon as that wood gets stacked up a little bit, that'll make a nice natural windbreak too. You can already tell the difference in there from the wind. It's actually blowing a lot more than it seems right now. And then over down this way, there's a little bit of alder leaves on the ground and small branches and real tiny fir needles and stuff. I'm just going to start piling it onto the old tarp and hauling it over. Once those gnarly branches are on there, just throw that on there like a giant debris wall.
Alright, we're making a lot of progress here. Heading up to our camp now. Just kind of what we're got going on. We pretty much finished the wall. So if you can tell, this isn't, this is our debris wall here. Pretty cool, huh? Go in. On the other side of this wall is our whole entire camp, if you can't tell. We just decided to make a door here. So we're gonna go right through it. And there's the camp. Right here's the tarp shelter. So this lean-to also helps out with the wood here. Got a nice hot fire going. We were actually kind of surprised how it just started on its own here. We had put a little effort into it, but last night was a bitch. Sucked. So there's our tarp shelter. Kind of our setup in here. This isn't the best tarp shelter we've made. It's kind of like a throw together type of situation, but it works. It's nice and warm inside at night. So, it's kind of surrounding areas here. Well, we got our wood processing area. This chopping block kind of sucks a major dick. We'll have to get a new one, but got some nice cedar rounds, split into 4s. Those are going to burn lovely tonight. Got a lot of alders and stuff we need to process still. So, we're just continuing on here. It's no shortage of wood, that's for damn sure. So we got years and years and years and decades of supplies of wood here. So, not a bad deal. But, pretty cool. I love that wall that we built. Amazing. So, pretty cool.